What is going on, Wrestling Stream Nation? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because we cover WWE like nobody else does. One moment, one attack, one decision that could change everything Drew McIntyre has ever worked for, forever. Pause for effect. What you're about to hear might just be the most controversial story in WWE right now. And trust me, you do not want to miss a single second of this. I'm your host, and today we are diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping storylines developing inside WWE right now. Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, a man who has lived and breathed this industry for over 2 decades, may have just put his entire career on the line with a single, explosive, calculated act of aggression. We're talking about the attack on SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis during the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event. An attack so shocking, so unexpected, that the entire wrestling world has been talking about it ever since. So grab your snacks, settle in, because we are breaking this down from every single angle: the why, the what happens next, and whether Drew McIntyre's future in WWE is hanging by a thread. Before we talk about what Drew did, we need to talk about who Drew McIntyre is. Because without understanding his journey, you cannot truly appreciate how significant this moment really is. Drew McIntyre is not just another superstar. This man was handpicked by Vince McMahon himself as a future world champion back in 2009. He was literally called the Chosen One. But the road was never smooth for the Scottish Warrior. He was released from WWE. He went to the independents. He rebuilt himself brick by brick, match by match, scar by scar. And then, he came back. And he didn't just come back. He came back transformed. Hungrier, harder, more dangerous than ever before. He won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36, a moment that cemented him as one of the most legitimate, hardworking champions of his generation. This is a man who has fought through politics, injuries, personal loss, and every obstacle this industry could throw at him. Drew McIntyre has earned everything he has in WWE. So when a man with that kind of legacy, that kind of history, snaps and crosses a line that most superstars wouldn't dare cross, it tells you something. It tells you that something inside Drew McIntyre has fundamentally broken. And the question is, can it be fixed before it's too late? Now let's talk about exactly what happened, because the details here matter enormously. Elimination Chamber. One of WWE's most brutal, most iconic premium live events. The steel structure looms over everything like a monument to violence. Superstars go in there knowing they might not come out the same way they went in. The stakes are always high at Elimination Chamber. But nobody, and I mean nobody, expected the chaos that unfolded involving Drew McIntyre and SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis. For those who may have missed it, Nick Aldis, the man with the authority and the clipboard, the man responsible for order and accountability on SmackDown, found himself on the receiving end of Drew McIntyre's fury in a moment that sent shockwaves through the entire WWE universe. Now, was this a completely random explosion of violence? Absolutely not. This has been building. The tension between Drew McIntyre and WWE management, the feeling that Drew hasn't been getting what he deserves, the frustration of a man who believes he is operating on a different level than everyone else around him, it's been simmering beneath the surface for weeks. And at Elimination Chamber, that pressure cooker exploded. Drew didn't just lash out, he chose to attack an authority figure. He chose to target the one man on SmackDown who has the power to reward him or punish him. And that choice, that one, defining, impulsive or perhaps very calculated choice, has now put Drew McIntyre's entire career status in serious jeopardy. Let's talk about the real-world consequences of what Drew McIntyre has done, because WWE has been very deliberate about how they're framing this situation. Attacking a referee, that gets a superstar suspended. Attacking a ring announcer, fines, suspensions, it's happened before. But attacking a general manager, the on-screen representation of WWE's governing authority on SmackDown, that is a completely different level of transgression. In the world of WWE storytelling, authority figures carry enormous power. Nick Aldis controls contracts. He controls match stipulations. He controls who gets title opportunities and who gets left off pay-per-view cards. By putting his hands on Aldis, Drew McIntyre has essentially declared war on the very system that could either elevate him to the top of the mountain, or bury him at the bottom. From a storyline perspective, this opens the door to some absolutely fascinating possibilities. Could Nick Aldis strip Drew of future title opportunities? Could there be a suspension? Could WWE management make Drew's life a living nightmare as punishment, stacking the odds against him in every match, in every stipulation? Or, and here's where it gets really interesting, could this be exactly what Drew McIntyre wanted? Is this a calculated move by a man who has decided he doesn't need the system anymore? A man who is willing to burn everything down just to prove a point? Because if Drew McIntyre is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, this might be the most brilliant, dangerous gamble of his entire career. Okay, Wrestling Stream Nation, this is the part where we get to speculate. And honestly, this might be the most exciting part of this whole conversation. Because Drew McIntyre attacking Nick Aldis isn't just a story beat, it's a character-defining moment. And depending on how WWE plays this, it could go in several completely different directions. Option 1, and the one that I think a lot of fans are already buzzing about, is the full heel turn. Drew McIntyre embracing his darker side completely. No more crowd support. No more being the warrior the fans cheer for. Instead, imagine a Drew McIntyre who has genuinely decided that the entire WWE universe, management, authority figures, everyone, they're all against him. A paranoid, dangerous, unleashed Drew McIntyre who trusts nobody and fears nothing. Honestly, that version of Drew sounds absolutely must-see television. Option 2 is the sympathetic anti-hero route. Drew did something wrong. He knows it, we know it, but the reasons behind it make us understand. Maybe even make us root for him despite ourselves. Wrestling has a long, beautiful tradition of complicated characters who exist in the moral gray zone, and Drew has the charisma and the mic skills to pull that off brilliantly. Option 3, and this one might be the most dramatic, is that this attack is the beginning of a massive, career-altering WrestleMania storyline. WrestleMania season is here, people. And WWE loves nothing more than building toward the show of shows with a story that has real emotional stakes. Drew McIntyre fighting not just for a title, but for his career. For his legacy. For everything he's worked for since he was a young kid dreaming of this business. Tell me that doesn't give you goosebumps. Because it absolutely should. Now I want to talk about you, the Wrestling Stream Nation, because the reaction to this moment has been absolutely wild across social media and the wrestling community. There are fans who are furious at Drew. They feel like he crossed a line that a babyface, a hero of the people, simply cannot cross. They want accountability. They want consequences. They want to see Nick Aldis fight back with every ounce of authority he has. And then there are fans, and honestly a huge portion of them, who are secretly, or not so secretly, thrilled. Because they have been waiting for Drew McIntyre to fully unleash. They've been waiting for the chains to come off. They've been saying for months that this version of Drew, calculated, dangerous, unfiltered, is the most compelling he has ever been. And you know what? Both groups are right. That's the beauty of great wrestling storytelling. When a moment divides the audience, when people are arguing and debating and posting reactions at midnight, that is when you know WWE has struck gold. I want to hear from you down in the comments. Where do you stand? Is Drew McIntyre a man who went too far, or a man who finally went far enough? Drop your takes below. Let's get this conversation going because this community always brings the heat when it comes to discussions like this. At the end of the day, Wrestling Stream Nation, this is why we love professional wrestling. Not just for the matches. Not just for the championships. But for the stories. For the characters. For the moments that make us lean forward in our seats and ask, what happens next? Drew McIntyre attacking Nick Aldis at Elimination Chamber is one of those moments. It's unpredictable. It's dramatic. It's loaded with potential. And however WWE decides to play this out, whether it's a suspension, a stipulation, a WrestleMania showdown, or something none of us have even imagined yet, you can bet that Wrestling Stream will be right here, covering every single development, every rumor, every reaction, every twist and turn along the way. Because that's what we do. We live and breathe this sport. Just like you do. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Subscribe if you haven't already and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single upload. Share this video with a fellow wrestling fan who needs to know about this story. I'm your host. This is Wrestling Stream. And we'll see you in the next one.